Hello, welcome to Meta Podcast, episode 112. Today we're talking about the carry role, which is admittedly a favourite role of ours for discussion, I believe. But we're back there again in this episode, talking basically about, I think, killing a lot of creeps, probably lane creeps, applying pressure, how to get involved, stuff like that. It's slightly inspired by some recent content that I think all of us have been watching. I certainly have. A Nico baby vid, some other stuff like that. A little bit inspired by that. Marco and Adam joining me as always. Marco, welcome to the pods. How are you?
Thank you. Doing very well.
How are you this week in IRL?
Good. Physically good. Mentally good. Spiritually good. Pretty good.
Nice. The Marco spirit. That's not something I want to contend with, I don't think.
Oh, why is it too overwhelming, or is it just too dark?
Probably both. Probably too overwhelming and dark. Too tin. It's definitely dark in the corners. Yeah. I don't know. Welcome. Likewise. How are you?
Good. I won't go into the physically, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I might.
Nice. That's something that all of the listeners can vibe with. I don't know how I would rate myself physically, mentally, spiritually. Probably physically not great. I'm always physically worse in the winter. Summer's the time where it's just nice outside and you can go on runs, and I like to play sport outside and stuff. Winter comes and everyone's wearing massive coats and just not going out, and it's just, I don't know, physical health just takes a fall. That said, when you can't go outside, what can you do? Stay inside and play Dota 2. So maybe the podcast quality will skyrocket, who knows. First things first, guilds, top, what rank are we currently? We're top 1% in US East, which by the way is a scandal in of itself. What do you have to say for yourself, Adam? Why is the New Meta Podcast guilds? Why is it US East? What's going on?
Because that was the US guild, and your Europe guild didn't pan out. So
Did it die? Was ours the Europe guild like the second guild or something?
Yeah, the EU guild was the second guild, and that one died.
Oh, yeah. That's so true, actually. That's funny. I'd forgotten about that. We did one for each, and then we just were like, no, we want to be in the same guild together. So
First mover advantage too strong.
We're definitely benefiting from the lower player pool in US East. Now we're on the leaderboard. We're 70th. If you want to see us in the Dota world making plays, go on the US East Guild leaderboard. There we are, rank 70. Hey, we're one away from my lucky number, 71. There's a fun fact for you listeners.
I thought you were going to go in the other direction.
Yeah, to be fair, can go one either side on your laugh.
Well, we did. We were 27th after the first week.
That's insane.
That was pretty sick.
Lacad matter tags flying left, right, and centre in so many games at the moment, which is quite fun. I'm really glad they've added in the voice lines for top 1% because I feel like it's quite easy to get top 1%.
It's not one, it's top 25.
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry. Top 25, it is easy to get top 25.
To be fair, it was easy to get top 1% too. We just played some games. I think that was.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people have 50-person guilds. Like we're just farming points off of people playing in party. So
it was so funny playing with the voice line, and because everyone can use it twice, and it was just 20 Lacard Matargs in a row.
Yeah.
It was just non-stop.
Yeah, even I'm getting it. I love it. Just throwing out a Lacad Matatag after like a kill or something. It's so fun. Yeah, so that's just a shout out. Well done to all you guilders out there. Beyond that, how have games been? Marco, I'll start with you. How has Dota been treating you over the last week? How are you feeling? What's going down?
It's been decent. I think I'm maybe. I think I'm 1-4, lost 5. So that's actually kind of bad. But the games have been of decent quality. Quite a lot of POS 1. I played 3. My last 3 games have all been PA, and I'm not one to usually spam a hero, but the PA set, just the slicing, dicing, it's just been pulling me in, even though it's not always gone to plan, as Adam can attest. One game, there was a crazy game playing Ember Spirit Pods once. Ember's it's a hero that I never really think about, and then I play it, and it's just always so fun. Going the Boots of Travel, I think is. I mean, I've done some games where you go say phase, Des, or just smash the right click, but going travels and a bit of right click with the Davis, but a bit of magic with say Shivas and Ags. It's just so much fun. But it was a crazy game. We had an offlane Dirge, Pods 3, ended the game with 26 kills, 14 deaths, and 15 assists. This Dirge was going mental. Yeah, it was a really wild game.
That's crazy. 3 Dirge. I'm not sure I like the sound of that.
That was good.
Yeah, you just had endless kills.
Nice.
Yeah, the Spirit really good fun. Pods 1 always good fun.
Do you go Battle Fury on your PAs, or do you tend to go just Deso into BKB sort of thing?
Tend to do Battle Fury. There have been a couple where we've been really on the ropes, and I've then thought, okay, let's go Deso so I can get involved at 15. So the one PA game I did win out of my last 3. So like, if you look at the KDAs of the 2 losses, it's like really good KDA, but it's a lost game. But the one I did win was the 21-minute Battle Fury, which for reference is a hideous timing for Battle Fury. 2-6 at 21 minutes kind of thing, really in the pits. But it was a guild game in, the belief and comms were there, the pullback was on, and we turned it around.
Nice.
Yeah, standard stuff. It's been good fun.
Nice. Adam, you've been back to a land that we haven't much stepped in recently, the land of course of ranked Dota 2, so I'm interested to see how your game's been.
I dipped my toe in. I don't know what came over me. So my friend Saul, he had lost 10 games in a row, and if he lost one more, that was going to be his longest losing streak ever. So he asked if I could play with him. And so I was like, I'll go all out just this once. I played 5 CM, and he played Lifestealer, and he didn't die, and we won the game. And I was like, feels good riding this bike again. This Crystal Maiden 5. I was like, I think I'd like to try me some of that in ranked Dota. And so played a couple games, 2-0.
Nice.
Back over 5,700. And then like, well, 6K's in reach. I could try it. I could give it a go. I bet I could do it if I just played enough CM.
Nice. Give mana for 6K.
Yeah. Yeah. So I might do that once I finish up all my graduate work.
Just
can't play
down
it.
Calibration. Go.
What's that?
The calibration reset.
No. I don't even think that's. You can't do that yet, can you?
You know.
It's staggered, so it tells you the time that you've been allocated to recalibrate it. So I can recalibrate in 8 days, 15 hours if I want.
Window you have to do it?
I don't know what the window is. I think it's. I'm not sure what the window is. It might give you until the end of the season or something, so it might be a really long time. I'm not entirely certain, but we'll have to see with that one. I've got 8 days to just go crazy and ranked. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Where do you even see that?
If you go to settings and then account.
Okay. Yeah, but feels good being a 5. All these party games have. I don't know. I haven't played a support in so long.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. It's sort of the opposite for me. I played a ranked game earlier today with a dynamic big friend of the pod, and I played 5 because he wanted mid. And so I thought I'll just queue all roles, and pulled out the Chikiro, and that was an experience. The Magic T5 is definitely not. It's a close your eyes. So don't watch me play 5. It was good Jakiro though. It wasn't like the worst thing in the world, but I died 14 times, which is pretty bad. It was an hour-long game, but still. Actually, I didn't have the most deaths in the game. The enemy Dark Willow died 15 times, so I'm off the hook. But that was a very rough game. We had a Weaver carry that struggled very much against Slardar and Batrider and Dark Willow and Ricky. They were all just it was a rough game. And then, yeah, it took me down, which is very unfortunate because they all count the same. Gone are the days of ranked and support MMRs, so there you go.
You lose 20.
Yeah, 20 because it's party. Usually it's 30 if it's solo, is that right? Is that how it is these days? Yeah. Okay. But I've got tomorrow, in an unexpected turn of events, tomorrow's been cleared of the calendar at late notice. I thought I had stuff to do tomorrow, but I actually don't. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get a couple of games in tomorrow morning or something, or along with editing the pod, who knows. So we'll see about that. Hopefully get some ranked games in. Rescue my percentage. Rescue my miniature downfall that I've been having recently. And then beyond that, just one more game to shout out. Crazy game. First game I've ever played with unlimited stick, and I did promise a shout out because I did get MVP in this game. 74-minute game. I played Lifestealer, his Dazzle, dirty Dazzle spammer, very, very dirty Dazzle spammer. 45k down we were. 46k at the worst moment. Down. Come back. Lifestealer is actually a lot of fun. When I had Rapier, it's like the ultimate six slot because I built Armlet Dezo, Basher, AC, Satanic, Abyssal. And then when I had that, I didn't quite have enough damage to kill people with that build. Like, I obviously had enough, but I was getting kited a little bit too much and I couldn't blow up like a AA, or I couldn't blow up the Grimstroke just with one abyssal and then hit, and they were getting 4-stars off and stuff. So the Rapier felt like such a nice purchase.
Satanic ? Where's the Nullifier?
Yeah, Nullifier it would have been fine as well, but I liked Satanic versus the Axe Call and the Sven, because like if Sven stuns me or if Axe calls me, the status resistance is like really nice to survive because it's like knife edged. Sven can blow me up in one stun if I don't have Satanic, I think. Because he's got like Daedalus and the crazy Mega Desolator 3 or whatever it's called, Stinging Desolator. But it was a good game. I had the Apex neutral item, which not the greatest thing in the world, but it was pretty good. So that was good fun.
A lot of strength.
There's awful lot of strength, yeah. I would have quite liked to Stinging Desolator myself though, probably. So yeah, that was that game. Very fun. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to shout out, is there? No more housekeeping to be done, I don't believe.
Adam flamed my PA, but we don't need to go into that, it's fine.
It was you were like, I'm ready to talk about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? That game doesn't exist. Smiley face.
It's definitely deleted from Adam's brain.
I watched some Seb stream earlier today, and I was like, you know when if you ever watch tournaments or if you watch a high-level player stream and you watch it and you're just like creaming about Dota 2, you're just like, oh my god, this game's unbelievable. How are people so good at the game? It just like blowing my mind. I was watching Seb. I watched a little bit of Crit this evening as well. Just like, oh my god, Dota's so good. And as I was typing a message to Marco to like be like, oh, this game's so insane. It's the perfect game. 15 minutes in, the game's scripted almost. How good it is, how well Seb's playing, and how well the team's playing and stuff. And just as I'm typing out the message, there's a fight, and the Juggernaut omni-slashes like a neutral creep wave. The Magnus RPs the ground, because the hero he wants to RP's Yulzed. And what was the other missed spell? Oh yeah, Void Spirit to start the whole fight off. Yules, and then Remnants for the setup, and somehow misses the Remnant. The Remnant just doesn't go where the Yules is. So it's the worst, most poor executed fight I've seen in a long time, missing spells everywhere. And I thought, yeah, that's the Dota I know. None of this high level 9k average Dota. Give me some whiffed RPs that I can connect with, so I not realize I'm playing the same game that these pros are playing. Topic of the day: getting involved as carrier, or I don't know if that's a worthy title, Marco. I don't know exactly what you have in mind for this topic. Is it sort of playing everything other than the fight, or how do you see it? Where do you want to start? What's the premise? Talk to me.
I feel like, if anything, it's how to play carry. People think oh, you need to hit creeps, and they stop thinking there, and so they see a neutral camp and associate it with creeps and gold, and they kill the neutral camp and go, I'm doing my job. And then they go, I finished killing this neutral camp. Where's the next one? And then they have no other thought, and they go to the next camp and kill it and go, I've just got more gold and I'm doing my job.
Where's the next neutral camp? I like that.
I think this is not the optimal way to play position 1.
That's the premise that we're working with. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the mantra of killing creep waves and what lane creeps sort of represent?
I think we could start with some of the points Nico Baby spoke in his video. Early game orientated, like the first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes. I mean,
that's good.
It's applicable all game, but I mean, the way I remember it was shove creep waves and jobs are good. And that's kind of the main message. But it was interesting how he deep dived into it, about how I kind of can't remember what happened pre the tower going down, but he was playing Morph and how he had that really rough lane.
Yeah.
He loses the tower at 5 minutes to the 5-minute siege creep, or maybe the 10-minute siege creep. But it's like bottom 6 net worth, like 8-10 minutes in the game, but then by 15 minutes, just by diligently shoving the creep wave and hitting the jungle camps, he's back in it. But in that sequence that he talks through, the most interesting thing is how effective it was him being in the lane and not just hiding in the jungle or hiding in the ancients, just nuking the creep waves. And he explained how it created so much pressure and space, because by literally just, he was shoving the creep waves in his safe lane so that, say, his creeps get to the enemy's offlane tower, the enemy team, pro team, they know that it's just resources they can't forego, and it forces an enemy hero to walk over there and take that farm. And then that space created, because now it's one less hero roaming elsewhere on the map, and it's only happened because he shoved some creep waves.
There you go. Thank you for joining us in episode.
So that's
112.
I wish I could remember. Can you remind me what else was in that Nico Baby vid? Because that's the one that stuck in my mind the most. But I feel like there was all other points.
I mean, he was morphling and he had a hard game against Zai, Mars. It's like Mars, Rubik, offlane. And he talked about really specifically, which is something I hadn't really thought about, like he really prioritized the siege wave. Like you want to kill their siege creep immediately. Maybe not immediately, but like you do not want them to set up on your tower with a siege creep. It is like as important as like runes or other timings in the game, you know? Because that's like that's something that only comes every 5 minutes, and it exerts a huge amount of pressure on your towers. If you're low and you can't def your tower, it's gone. And you know, they played around. They were really aggressive on him early because Morph really needs level 3, so they killed him at level 2. And he just talked about recovering a tough lane, and about how when he's behind like that, you might feel the need to like TP into a fight or something, but you can be making as just as good of a contribution just sitting in dire safe lane like he was doing, just shoving the wave into the tower, and then this starts to put this like clock in the opponent's head. Like, we can't just let this morph recover. You know, we can't just let him have all this easy farm like this. And that's where you set up ganks, basically. He was farming that wave, just farming, and then it finally gets to their tower, and Zai wants to like TP in as Mars and, you know, kind of aggress on the Morphling and not let him just have all this easy space. And then all of a sudden, two of Alliance's supports have smoked in and they kill the Mars, and it's like a tower. And then, you know, it's like there's so much to be played around with where you are on the map, I suppose.
That play is so classic, and I swear no one ever anticipates it. Where, say, you shove in a creep wave, and this could be, like in his game, 10 minutes in the game, could be 20, 30 minutes into a game. If you shove a creep wave in hard, and there's a double creep wave going to the enemy's tower, you know, there's near certainty that people are gonna, rotate to take that farm, that gold, that experience. And so with that near certain knowledge someone's going to appear here for that farm, you can think one step ahead and make a gank happen. It is such a classic play. We made it this week, I think, when the enemy TB, he's going to go bottom for all this farmers. Go. This is why comms and 5 stacks is the only way to play Dota, to get everyone on the same page. Come on, we're going to get this. We're going to get this kill. Lo and behold, the TB turns up and we're in position and we get the kill. And it's just classic. But yeah, the chess / cat and mouse of the POS 1 is so interesting as well, because the POS 1 wants to push that farm as greedy as they can. They want to go as deep as they can. They want to get as many creeps as they can and lane creeps. So I think the proper way to do it would be that, yeah, you want to get as many lane creeps as you can, so you're running ahead down the lane into deep enemy territory. But then the enemy team they might respond, but they're at least thinking, we can't let this person just farm this deep and aggressively. They're getting way too many resources. We therefore have to react. And then it's like, do they react in time? If they don't react in time, it's a massive win, because then that's all this space and you've pulled the enemy team away. You can do so much like that as a WOM.
Yeah, I think one of the other points from the Nico Baby vid that is pretty obvious is don't just give up on the lane. You know, we mentioned that he has choices, or you will have choices in your game if the lane's not going well, or if it's a difficult lane or something, that you can go and farm Ancients. You know, this is in this example, it's a Morphling with a Morbid Mask, but it could be whatever, any hero that's a decent jungler. But what you do when you make that decision to go jungle, on the surface, like you say, Marco, you're hitting creeps, your gold's ticking up. So good job you're playing position 1. But really, it makes the game so much harder for all of the other people on your team. And when you don't give up on the lane, when he stays in the lane as a Morphling, pushes it out, even after the tower's gone, you know, that's a classic time. Oh, my tower's gone. It's really dangerous for me to stay up here in the safe lane, so I'm just going to leave and go hit Ancients. Well, that decision is so detrimental for your team, because someone's going to have to go up to the top wave, or you're just going to lose endless creep waves of farm, which means there's not people making plays other side of the map. Easier for enemies to gank. Vision is worse. Enemies don't have to show to kill creep waves. And suddenly the game is just so much more difficult. And Adam said how important the siege creep wave is. And it's undoubtedly true, because towers are important. But I think one of the things that stood out to me from the Nico Baby vid is that even when the tower goes, it's not the lane is lost, I give up on this safe lane now, I'm done with it. It's actually just still committing and knowing the limits as well. And this is a bit more of a difficult point, and this is a bit more hero specific, but certainly your Morphling, you know, when you get up higher levels, you get level 5 and stuff, Mars can't kill you anymore. Most offlaners won't be able to kill you anymore, unless they have specific, you know, instant stuns that they can use from trees or something like that with heroes. So you can be much more aggressive to kill creeps. Even if you know Mars is in the area, oftentimes Nico Baby in this video and also other people with other heroes that, you know, the point's widely applicable, will play very aggro, like Marco said, to sort of all in to kill this creep wave, forcing someone to turn up in the off lane on this other side of the map that they don't necessarily want to be in. And already that means that the enemy team's limited in what they can do, because one of their cores, and probably their off lane, which is a very important core for making plays, has to be all the way at the other side of the map, killing creeps under their own tower. And that just allows your supports and your cores on the other side of the map so much freedom, because that information's so valuable. And you can start making plays, you can farm more freely. It's just, the game's just that much easier. If you compare the two game states of what I just described, of giving up on the lane and going to the Ancients after the tower's destroyed, where all the enemy offlaner could be completely missing, could be anywhere on the map. There could be people all over your safe lane, out of vision, where the creeps could be if you've pushed them. That situation for your team versus you pushing the creep wave, not giving up on the lane, even say sacrificing a little bit of your farm, even, let's say, for example, which wouldn't necessarily be the case, but even then it's still a so much better game state for you. You see an enemy guaranteed, and it's an enemy that's completely immobilized because they're hitting a creep under their own tower. So it's just, that's I think something to take away, is have a bigger picture when you play POS 1 of just, I'm hitting creeps, tick the box. It's like, have that bigger picture of your whole team and helping them. And ultimately that's going to put you in a much, much better position to win the game.
Yeah, it was really interesting how he spoke about the one, and the view he had was so selfless, and it was the questions I asked myself are, how can I relieve pressure from my team? What can I do to help my team? It was so almost jarring how selfless his mindset was whilst playing position 1 in this stereotypically greedy, selfish role. And I think the ancient point that you mentioned, so how he had Morbid Mask, and there was a question of, I could go farm Ancients. Do I want to do this? Even mentioned maybe it's slightly more gold efficient than, say, staying in the top lane hitting creeps. But if I think about the bigger picture and think about what my team needs and what the enemy team also doesn't want, if I was to go hide away in the jungle in the ancient triangle, I'm just inviting that Mars to go all the way to my tier 2. I'm inviting the enemy team to just sweep through our jungle and just choke our map. I'm inviting them to go on a 4-man gank squad as opposed to a 3-man gank squad. And all those possible events are just so damaging for you and your team, all because you go, I'm a carry and I'm going to hit the triangle Ancients, rather than kind of put my neck on the line to get the lane creeps in maybe in a slightly dangerous place, but it's going to make space and it's still going to be gold efficient. And I think that point about Ancients in particular is really applicable, not just to say this 10-15 minute time period of the Nico baby, but in all pubs at all points in the game. I think when I watch other POS 1s, they just love the Ancients because they think, it's the best place to farm and most efficient place to farm. But maybe in some cases it's just about mathematically that more gold efficient per second of time. But bigger picture, it's so damaging that you're that deep in the map, having no pressure on any lane, having just that in itself is horrible. Like, and also by being so deep, you can't even connect to your team. You're not pulling any heroes anywhere. Yeah, you're not getting map vision by shoving the creep waves down. These points sound small, but they are massive. They are really, really big.
And sometimes it's more obvious than that, right? Sometimes a lot easier to grasp. If you've pushed the creep wave in, and you're just hitting a neutral camp because you've already pushed the lane in, and a skirmish happens somewhere else on the map, it's so much easier for you to TP and clean up kills and just get involved in a real way, not even like an indirect way. Because first of all, you're likely going to see if the enemy offlane is hitting creeps under their own tower. Great, you know that they're not involved. If they TP, great, you see. 2, you're out of vision. Sure, that's going to be the same whether you're hitting Ancients or whether you've pushed the lane. So that's the same. But what was the other point I was going to say? Oh yeah, of course. So if you do decide to TP in, because you've pushed the wave in, you're not even missing that many creeps. Because you can get back to the lane by the time the double wave's under your own tower easily. You can get back comfortably by that time. So you actually miss less anyway because you pushed the creep wave in. So that's a entire creep wave or two that you're not missing out on when you make that rotation. Versus when the creep wave's pushed into your own tower and you're hitting ancients, you make that same TP play, you've missed 2 creep waves worth of gold and XP. So sometimes it's really obvious just the benefits of pushing the wave.
I find it really frustrating playing mid, and if the carry doesn't put priority on the creep waves, I find it incredibly frustrating because it just means the map's so much more choked and has so much less vision, and we don't see where the enemy is because they don't. If the creep waves are our tier 2, the enemy's content. They'll be farming elsewhere and they'll wait for the creeps to arrive. They don't need to show. They can be aggressive on the map because the push creep waves give them that ability. So if I'm a 2, I'm choked of plays to make if the lanes aren't shoved. And so playing the carry, really, like, your number one priority should be that. They are really gold efficient, better than neutral camps. So that should be a pull anyway. But then they obviously give all this map advantage. After creep priority, I think, if you can do some kind of nice double camp farming or stack a camp, kill it, or if you can smash out the ancient triangle quickly, that's fine. But it definitely shouldn't be your first instinct.
Yeah, definitely not. And in pro games, high level games, when you see position 1s make early sort of rotations, every single time it's because the draft's been built around the fact that another hero can come up and take XP and stuff. It's not like a pub. This isn't a pub strat of people TPing to the triangle early. Do you know what I mean? It'll be with some alchemist or something where they've got a hero that can soak. One thing I would say as well is bad players, I'd put myself in that camp, but bad players push the lane in dumb ways too late, die, and then it sort of entrenches their bad habits of not pushing the wave. Because, imagine a weaver or whatever killing a dire weaver killing neutral camps, and the wave's pushed into his top tier 2. People were getting on him, pinging him, go push the wave. Marco's annoyed because he's playing a mid Voidspur or whatever, and the map's choked. He's like, go push the wave. They're scared to push the wave because there's no vision in that whole top bit of the map. They die, and then they hear, well, that's why I don't like pushing waves and showing. But in reality, it's like too late. Do you know what I mean? It's you've already messed it up, and really you can't let up. As soon as you let up, as soon as you don't do it in the first instance, that's why Nico Baby's talking about it 6 minutes into a game. Because as soon as you let up, and as soon as you allow your creep wave to be pushed into your tower with all of the bad detriments that comes with, the scale starts ticking. And so it's really important right from the start. Push waves right from the start. Be thinking about it in the laning stage, As soon as it becomes, I don't know how long that'll be, maybe 6 minutes in, maybe when you get your Morbid Mask, maybe whatever it is. And it's less about having the creep wave in a great equilibrium spot, because now you can farm jungle camps and you can start doing other things. And people are starting to move around, ganks are starting to happen, then it's just push that wave. It really is.
One of the most efficient ways you can satisfy your addiction of hitting ancient creeps is taking the enemy ancient creeps. And so this is not recommendable in the kind of early mid game, because you won't be strong enough to do it quick enough and all that. But later on, maybe like 20 minutes plus, 25 minutes plus, if you've shoved the creep wave in and you're able to kind of then work your way backwards as you basically are leaving a dangerous area, and if you can take enemy jungle camps on the way, that's so high value because it's gold to you, but it's denying gold to the enemy team. And then you farm their woods whilst you retreat, and maybe then clear up your own triangle, and whilst you pivot to, say, another lane, or you shove the wave in, you retreat through the enemy woods, taking their farm, and then maybe make a TP rotation to the other side of the map where creep and gold has accumulated, and go again. That would be like the optimal way you can hit neutral camps. But definitely not, priority 1, let's go into the woods nice and deep, give my team absolutely no support. Also, one of the points that really frustrated me was the connection point of, if you're the POS 1 and you're deep in the enemy triangle, when you're like 20 plus minutes in the game, yeah, your priority may still be to farm, but you also want to have that ability to link up with the team, and you just can't do it if you're deep in the woods, and it's really frustrating.
Adam's just thinking, man, I just play TB at Naga and I push the wave out with my illusions and I farm neutrals with my main hero. So what's this episode even about?
TB's so dirty for
Well, I
that.
mean, TB still exerts pressure, sir. I've just been letting Marco go on. I just didn't really see a point for me to jump in.
Yeah, just get illusions to do it. That's the answer. I think I can agree with that. You mentioned linking up with your team. I don't know. What do you reckon the sort of minimum is for joining a fight? Like if you're playing a carry hero, Adam, say, what are you looking for if you're going to make a rotation? What early in the game, say between that 10 and 15 minute mark where you really want to be ramping up your farm. It's sort of, I personally find it difficult to decide when to commit and when not to commit. What does it come down to? Is it very hero specific, or are there more general rules about when you'd maybe want to get involved as opposed to hitting those creeps?
I think it depends on how strong you are, what you can provide. I mean, if you're a Faceless Void, hell yeah. With Chrono, TP in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're, I don't know, it's like a level 5 Morphling, what can you really do outside of... It's all kind of depends. I mean, perfect world is you TP it. They're like, go too far in a tower, you TP in and you clean up, and then you just farm where you've TP'd. That's the best of both worlds. You're not TPing out the lane. You're TPing to use your spells when they aggress. That's why it's important to keep the towers up so that you can TP in on them and then farm after you've taken the fight.
Do you TP, Marco, do you ever TP to kill a tower? Or is that just pushing it a bit too much because you allow the enemies to see you just idly pushing a tower with some team, and it might involve a 5v5 that's a bit speculative?
The only time I would do that would be if I'm getting really slapped in my lane, can't farm, and the enemy offlaners are gonna take my tower and I can't defend it, and so I'm just wasting time. In those specific circumstances, I would then TP to the offlane and go, guys, let's just trade tier 1s, and I'll help you do it, and I'll take the creeps, maybe help get a kill because the enemy's not expecting this pos 1 to rotate to the offlane. Outside of that, probably I can't really see that happening. Yeah,
I agree. The way I see it personally is, it's all very well thinking that, great, I'm a Terrorblade, let's use Metamorphosis to kill this tier 1, or I'm a Sven, I'll pop God Strength for this tier 1. And sometimes, no doubt, that works. But it only works when it's a trade, and the important part about that is the fact that you know where the enemies are. You literally see them killing your tower on the other side of the map. If you don't know where enemies are, and they see you because you're hitting a tower, it's so much easier for them to take a good fight. And sure, sometimes maybe you're just really ahead and you win, but as a general rule, if the fight's easier for the opponents to win, they're likely going to win it, right? Especially in pub Dota. And nothing is better in fights than vision. Vision's super important in pro games. People won't fight without vision. People just do not fight without vision in Immortal games, So don't just give the enemies a free, here's 3 heroes hitting a tower that you can just set up on perfectly. So that's why you don't want to join objective pushing too much on the carry. There's nothing wrong with farming nearby and maybe getting involved if you want, or being ready to TP in perhaps, although that's a little bit difficult if you're pushing a tower because by definition you won't be able to TP very close. But don't just idly hit a tower when enemies are missing because you're asking for trouble, you really are.
To add to that point, a good way to think about the 1 is that to play it best, you're really exploiting all the information that's available to you. So a bad 1 will mindlessly close their eyes and just go into the woods and hit neutral camps. The good 1, like Nickel Baby, he's doing what he's doing because he sees where the enemy team is on the map. And he goes, okay, there's say 3 heroes bottom. that's license for me to stick my head out, stick my neck on the line in this lane that's a bit dangerous. I'm going to try and I'm going to make pressure, and I know that's going to create space because I know it's going to pull one of the enemy's team to that lane. Or like you say with the tower, if I know there's 3 enemy heroes elsewhere on the map, I know I've got that license to hit this tower, and I'm going to do it until I need to stop, until I need to respond to their movement. Say if there's loads of heroes missing, then yeah, I now respond to that by playing cautious and take what farm I can safely, kind of wait for some information to be revealed, and then change my course of action. You definitely got to play with this information, as opposed to, like you say, just mindlessly hit camps or creeps or towers.
Mm.
An interesting one on the when do you fight? And so, particularly in the mid game onwards, when you as a pos one have got value, got some power, got an item or two, you can get involved, you can play. Pretty much every fight that happens, at least 25. I mean, take my PA game, 21 minutes, Battle Fury, like awful timing, but first item. So basically, any fight, 21 minutes or later in a game, or maybe 25 minutes later, there's a skirmish. So not just a gank, but let's say 3-4 heroes going to war. I think they should all ideally have the pos one involved, and that's like just not a crazy statement to make. But then we have to think about how do we make that happen. And so it comes back to me whining about people playing in the mid lane too much. Because if you're in the mid lane as a team, just congregated, there's no tier ones, you can't TP and connect. As the pos one, where are you going to be on the map? You're going to be in a side lane, shoving the creeps, going to the nearby jungle woods, rinse and repeat. There's no way you can connect to your team going Rambo in the mid lane. So if a fight happens, I can't connect. It'll take me, by the time I'm there, the fight's over. And that's happened many, 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 many times. If you want to take a fight 25 minutes later in the game, you've got to either go where the carry is, or go to the area the carry wants to play in or push in, be that an objective or be that a rush, or you try and split the map, find a gank, farm, and don't try and make a big engagement happen. Maybe the enemy team forces a play like a tower, or the enemy team forces a gank deep into your woods, to which the pos one's able to connect because they can TP to the tower that's been dived. That's fine also. But in no world do you want to make a play happen or a fight happen where your one's not involved. So why on earth then are you going 4-man mid-river when the carry's obviously not anywhere near, completely unable to connect? This is what really, like, I mean, obviously winds me up, but it comes back to like a really basic point of why you're trying to take a big fight that your carry can't connect with. And so just take a moment to think, how can my carry connect if a fight's going to happen? And then this is why the carry is often going to be the one making the shots, making the calls, because they're the strongest hero. So they're going to be saying where they want the team to play with them.
I think the key point there is that when you say don't take a fight after 21 minutes without the carry being involved, you're not saying don't try and gank without the carry being involved.
Don't take 4v5 or
exactly, yeah.
4v4, like a big skirmish.
Because that's what you're asking for when you're congregating a lot around mids, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with trying to get heroes away from your carry, especially if they're, I don't know, a void without a chrono, or a hero doesn't particularly want to get involved, wants to farm. But the way you do that isn't by asking for a 4v5 to occur, by standing around mid, showing yourself in lanes and stuff. The way you do that is being discreet, smoke, staying out of vision, getting a quick kill that forces a response, getting out. Or even a quick skirmish 4v2 or something, then getting out. Lingering is just the worst possible thing you can do, and nothing says lingering like, you know, that mid, that tantalizing mid tower, mid river area. So yeah, just be careful of that, I suppose.
It's like not even just the middle of the map, but mid lane. Allies thinking they can go knock on a tier 2. It blows my mind. And this is where that exact scenario happens. So often, your other 4 allies go, oh, yeah, let's go like shove mids, and like, I don't know what they're thinking. And they go, oh, we'll kind of knock on this tier 2 tower because we've got a slight lead or something, and or we just killed someone, so we'll go claim the tier 2, even though the hero is going to respawn in about 10 seconds. this is a situation that you don't want to happen because the carry's not going to be with you. They're going to be sensibly farming, shoving another lane, taking enemies' ancient camps, shoving the lane, etc. The mid is not an area they can connect with. They've not got BOTs. They can't connect if a fight happens. And if you're in the mid tier 2, a fight's going to happen because the enemy team's going to be licking their lips going, you're just walking into our trap, into our open mouth, because it's so easy to kill enemy team when they go tier 2. It's so hard to play in that lane. You're so vulnerable, it's insane. And time again, people will have a 4-man party and just get 4v5'd and just slain because they're strategically in such a bad position, and it's somewhere that the carry can't and doesn't want to connect with. So it's insane. Not wanting to play him too hard, but it's insane.
Yeah. Later on in the game, Roshan obviously becomes like a major objective. Adam, how much are you thinking about Roche in terms of where you put your hero when you're playing carry later on in the game? Does it always revolve around Roche, or does it really depend and you can still just fly around in your own jungle and in the side lanes away from Roche, or are you always sort of Roche always in your mind as the game goes on?
I don't think you can sneak Roche very often.
No.
Most time it's like you take a fight and then take the Roche. So it's advantageous to take a fight close to Roche as opposed to the opposite side of the map and having to run all the way over, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it all just depends on your lineup and if you have vision in the area, if you're ahead or you're behind. I guess the dream would be you smoke into it. You smoke into the area, take a fight, and then double back and take the Roshan.
Yeah.
Or enemy done an overextension. You've then done a TP rotation sensibly, cleaned up a couple of kills. Enemy team has to retreat. You've got a 30-40 second window. Just fly into the rush. And
yeah, it's more you need to have that in your head, like to after the fight, to be like Roche. Do it now.
That's honestly
everyone goes and does it.
Yeah, it can come down to 10 seconds. It can come or all the way up to say, like just the lower down you go, like people will wait 60 seconds rather than 0. And it's not a big window that typically you'll have in order to secure that rush. And I was watching like a random pub a few weeks ago, and the enemy or like the team, whichever team I was watching, wiped the enemy team. They lingered for like 30 seconds just doing jack all before they then went, oh, maybe we could get a rush. And it's like, you got to make that decision faster and you'll be punished if you don't. And that's how you, like, if you watch the highest level of games, these decisions are made in so fast and the movements are made so fast. They just do not waste any second.
People just are so inclined. I think it must be human behavior to just take your foot off the gas after you take a fight. It's like, oh, we won the fight. Now I can farm safely. It's like, no, push the envelope, take the tower, take the Roche, do something. That is the time when the game is won. Not like, oh yes, I can't wait to hit 3 neutral camps the time it takes for them to respawn. Like that was just it's so wonderful.
Yeah,
it's genuine. Yeah, it's interesting. It's because I think when you play Dota, you're constantly thinking something bad might happen, this thing might happen, this thing might happen, this thing might happen. When you win a fight, all the enemies are dead. You sort of put your brain on ice. This can't happen anymore. They're all dead. Isn't this wonderful? Nothing bad can happen because we just won a fight. So you just relax and you take your brain out of the game for a bit. That's sort of that's like Adam says, the psychology of it. Pat yourself on the back and take a moment to relax because there's nothing bad can happen now. It is definitely a funny point.
There was an infographic recently on Dota 2 about the average game lengths in all the different ranks, and it's no that the higher you go, the game time decreases in average, and it comes back to just people making decisions faster and making that next play 10 seconds faster, 20 seconds faster, moving where they need to go, and the pace. It's just all about the pace of the game increases, and you can apply this Roche example to it that people will have Roche on their mind so sharply, like they realize it's such a critical objective that any window they can exploit, they'll take it. Whereas when you go down the ranks, you'll see people they'll play that bit slower. Maybe they'll have a window, but they don't take it, or they will eventually take it, but it's too late or too risky, or they'll take it and don't get punished because the enemy team's not really thinking about the rush enough. And yeah, it just comes down to the pace of making decisions.
So much more is happening in higher level games. Just more is happening. More windows are being used. Yeah. More slight edges are being realized.
Yeah. But rush is a massive one. It's a massive, massive, massive one. There's very, very few games I play POS 1 that end in a green that I haven't got an Aegis. It is just so pivotal to winning and closing a game out, particularly as a 1. And it's really your responsibility to make it happen. And you've got to have it on your mind. It's got to be ingrained that rush is a key objective for me, the carry, to realize my power and to really dominate the map and really squeeze, choke the enemy, or then take that fight where the Aegis is just uber value for obvious reasons. It really has to be really ingrained.
Sorry to rewind the clock a little bit, but to go back, I'd like to make another point quickly about early game and being ahead and being behind in gold, and how it's a little bit deceptive. When you watch Dota, you see at the top the gold lead for one team or the other, popped up as the little 2k marker next to one team or something like that. And when you're playing a pub, you may feel that you're 3k behind the enemy carry, and you might be right, you might be 3k behind the enemy carry. Take, for example, Marco's PA game where he gets 21-minute Battle Fury. That's a really bad time. But if there's an enemy PA, say, obviously I know it's impossible, but say, for example, there's an enemy PA that got a bit better Battle Fury timing, say, 21's a bit extreme. Say 18, which isn't a good timing, but let's just say 18. That PA's got a Battle Fury 3 minutes faster than Marco. So when Marco picks up his Battle Fury, he might think, great, I got my item, but I'm still really weak versus the enemy PA because I'm still 3k behind. But you're actually not, because the enemy PA hasn't got a Deso yet. Because he's only got 3k in gold. He's got like, a Mithril Hammer, maybe not even, maybe just the Blightstone component. And it basically plays into the fact that the point I'm trying to make is that you still have power spikes, even when you're behind. I know personally in my games, I think, I have to be ahead on gold in a nominal term to feel strong. But actually, it's about items more than it's about gold. That's why it's so important to click on enemy heroes at all times. You might be 2k behind the enemy carry, or any position, playing mid, you might be 2k behind the enemy mid. But they might not have got their next item yet, so that's still a really strong spike for you to fight on equal terms. So I think especially on the POS 1 where items and gold is this massive deal, just be cognizant that sometimes it's a little bit deceptive, gold leads, and how strong you are in the game is a little bit deceptive, especially in the early game. It's more important whether you're an item behind than whether you're 3k, 2k gold behind or whatever. Click on people times, basically, is the point I'm trying
to make. Mainly it comes back to the rush emphasis. You need to shove creeps so that you've got vision on the map, and you need to play with the team or have the team play with you in the side lanes.
Comms are so important.
Yeah, honestly,
especially on POS 1. Just
being on the same page. There are so many games where I'd rather be in 5-man comms, same page with just people that are like Archons as opposed to random Ancients or Divines that think they know what they're doing and instead play on a different page. It really, makes a massive difference if you can have a bit of input like that as the one, and say you're playing solo, be it in ranked, just a little bit of communication from you can really go a long way. Because your team isn't obviously going to be hyper aware of what you want to do or need to do. So if you can say things like, okay, don't go Rambo guys just yet and 500 off BKB, or if you can say, guys, let's go in this area, draw on the minimap, and kind of pull everyone together on the same page, it's really, really valuable.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're such an important hero. You really need your team to understand what you want, because you should really be driving that what your team does. The strategy of your team should revolve around the POS 1 pretty much. Sometimes it's obvious when you see teams play 4 Protect 1, but even when they're not playing that, the POS 1 should dictate a lot of what the team does, because ultimately if the POS 1 has a bad game, then it's going to be difficult for you to win.
Something I thought about recently on the fast-paced versus aggression point. So I was thinking, some people might think of players being, or they might think of a player as being really aggressive, but actually the way I see it is that often they'll just be playing fast tempo. So I was thinking about games how it might look like I'm going crazy Ron Jenkins. I know it's Leroy Jenkins, but
Ron Jenkins.
Ron Jenkins.
Ron Jenkins, and where you're blinking into some really giant blink up the hill as the POS 1 Rave King and just go full Rambo mode. And it can appear aggressive and a bit bizarre. But then I was thinking about if I was playing a solo ranked, I'm not the first person doing that. Everyone else around me is making those sharp, fast plays. I don't know, I just kind of found it funny to think that you could perceive it like crazy, what the hell's they doing, but in another setting, like other people would do that as well, and they would be like, yeah, you're just doing like the next best fast-paced play, which is, say, suddenly put your foot down and jump get a kill because you've got a bit of a power edge. But yeah, I mean, as a one, you should probably do that when you can.
Yeah. And always think about, even after the laning stage, making the game easier for your team,
Yeah, that's a big takeaway that people won't think about.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why it's important to use spells. We're going to come back to another Marco mantra here. Use spells. If you're a Faceless Void with Chrono, it's probably a good idea to try and use it, rather than just farm AFK creeps.
That's the thing. Farming the Ancients, you can't connect and make a Chrono happen. If you're farming your Ancients, like, there's just no way in hell an enemy's just suddenly going to turn up deep on your side of the map for you to then Chrono and get a kill. That can't happen. You cannot make plays if you're deep in your woods or at your own triangle of Ancients. It just can't happen. You have to be near a side lane or near an ally or on the enemy side of the map, kind of in the woods, so you've just shoved a wave and maybe someone's going to TP rotate and you're going to kill them.
That's the beauty of pushing creeps. I know we've literally gone full circle here, but that's the beauty of pushing creeps, is that you don't have to force it. At the same time, we say use Chrono, and you definitely want to. You don't want to force it. You don't want to be farming Ancients, farming deep in your woods and think, oh crap, I've got Chrono, let's go and use Chronosphere. I'm going to walk all the way to my team, all the way to the off lane, try and find some speculative Chrono. Oh dear, on the other side of the map, creeps are under my tower. Oh no. It's like, imagine when you push waves are pushed, then you might TP for a Chrono. If it doesn't happen, doesn't matter, because there's an off lane hitting creeps under his own tower on the other side of the map. There's no creeps under your tower. You can even get back over there before the double wave hits your tower. It's just so much better. Whereas if you haven't pushed creeps, you look for a speculative Chrono. If it doesn't work out, suddenly you're stuck on this side of the map. Your tower's under threat. Objectives are being lost.
Miss loads of gold.
Yeah, miss loads of gold. It's just, so we come full circle,
Yeah, I was going to recap the episode and just say it's not about the creeps you take, it's where you take them.
Oh,
that's Carrie in a nutshell.
Wow, what wisdom in a nutshell.
I'm gonna remember that mantra next time we play.
What was that? Say it again.
It's not about the creeps you take, it's where you take them. So basically your positioning on the map is what's more important. I mean, there's going to be farm. It's about what farm you take. I don't think we really mentioned about how Marco mentioned how Nico Baby was a very selfless thinking carry about sometimes you want to be the carry that takes the hardest farm because you're the one that can get away with it and get away. Other times, maybe you want to take the hard farm so that your 4 is really close to an item and then they can power spike. So you let them get the easier stuff, and maybe it's not the best for you, but that spike that the 4, maybe let's say Earthshaker getting his blink is going to be so much better than you getting like the easy 500 gold that he needed. So, and then it also goes into like, everything we talked about, pressure and lane creeps. So it's about where you're doing the farm taking as opposed to what you're actually farming as a carry.
And I think the POS 3 can take a lot of that on board as well, because I think they often mirror the position 1 if you think about killing lane creeps. So I think they can keep that in mind also. Because like you say, yeah, you could have the situation where you go to the risky lane because in the other lane there's, say, a 3v3 happening, so you're going to go, like on the Nico Baby vid, he's like, yeah, my team's under pressure, but if I shove this other wave, I'm going to make sure that the team doesn't get 4v3'd. Instead, it's just 3v3 because one of the enemies has to come to me. Or you might have a situation where it's like 3 enemy heroes in one lane. Should your POS 1 be there trying to farm, or should the tankier, more self-sufficient POS 3 be there to take the farm? I think in that situation, you go, okay, POS 1, you go get the safer farm elsewhere and let the 3 deal with the 3 enemy heroes. Quick example. Can you confirm, Adam, that this isn't stolen intellectual property of Ice Frog or something like this?
What?
Wisdom.
My phrase? I just said, no, that wasn't written anywhere.
Original.
I mean, I don't think it's that original, but it's just a nice way to sum up the pod.
Slap a TM on that.
Sell it to Valve.
That could be the name of our carry class.
Make it a voice line.
Oh, yeah, the Taco Masterclass, or the Come Dine With Me Masterclass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can just imagine it now, the advert on YouTube. Meet your new master. It's Adam playing, it cuts to Adam playing TB or playing Naga with a Midas, like, thumbs up. And then, it's not about the creeps you take, it's where you take them, and then it cuts to Masterclass. We'd sell some, forget Patreon, that's the way we make money with this thing. Let's go. Anything else? I don't think that there is. I feel like we've covered plenty in this episode. I feel like it's been a pretty good overview.
Where I was going to make a final point. God damn it. But then this Adam phrase has just knocked me.
Knocked you sideways.
I didn't talk for the whole pod, so I needed to contribute something.
I know, I was cognizant of that. I kept thinking, like, me and Marco just hogging the airwaves so hard here. But do you have favourite carries in the meta at the moment? I mean, we don't need to go into it, obviously, because we sometimes do episodes on, state of carry. But we used Morphling as an example, and Faceless Void as an example. I
haven't really been playing it, but I think Void is one of the best carries. I guess I have played Spectre. I'm always a fan of a Spec game, but I think Void and Spec are pretty much 2 of the top 5 for sure.
Void's excellent. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Spectre's very good as well. Void's incredible. Marco's there, any others that stand out to you at the moment?
I love the slice and dice of PA and Omni. Juggernaut. Really love the swords, just satisfyingly killing creeps and jumping on them, slashing people to death. Obviously, Anti-Mage is really cool and fun. Ricky's a bit of just an abuser. And yeah, that's the main ones.
Yeah, I think Sven, you see a fair bit of Sven at the moment. I do anyway. I think he's a decent hero, and I think Drow Range is another strong carry at the moment. Certainly a lot in pro games, but I think Drow's a good hero. Yeah, and obviously TB is always going to be there or thereabouts, always people playing TB. Some strong carries of the past. I know Wraith King's usually a pub favourite, but I don't think Wraith King's enjoying himself too much at the moment, I would say. But yeah, we don't need to go into all of these.
The final point I think I was going to make was related to how you said, yeah, you want to be using spells, let's say Chrono, but obviously don't just run down the mid lane in order to use it like a Rambo pointless play. You got to look at your little checklist of the bigger picture, and it basically comes down to point 1: is there all the creep shoves? Because creep shoved equals gold for me, equals vision for our team, equals pressure indirectly, equals information when we reveal enemy heroes. So that's obviously this massive macro objective to tick off. And then 2, let's say, are your team in the right place? Obviously you can't just go Rambo 1v5 or 1v4. You need to make sure that the team's in the right position. Let's say you want to make a play in one of the lanes, or you want to take an objective, or you want to take a rush. You obviously got to be mindful of where your team is. But yeah, ultimately those 2 little points come back to don't force it. Don't force that fight. Don't force that chrono. Don't force that rush. Just get the basics in order, get the creeps in order, and then make a move. And to add on to that, I would reiterate the rush. If you want to play POS 1 well, rush has got to be ingrained in your mind as a key objective to win a game. Take a fight, take a rush, take the map, make the snowball happen. It is just 101 carry gameplay.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Join us again next week for episode 113. Who knows what we'll be discussing then. But until then, have a final whistle, and I'll see you again in a week's time.